Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's coverage of the Touring Kart Championship League. This evening, we're excited to bring you coverage from all the types of racing action on iRacing's virtual Auto Club Speedway. Maconi Entertainment is here to bring you action from all types of racing, including the weekly Fast Friday series. No matter what you are racing, we can bring the action to life. My name is Alexander Valderas, and joining me in the booth is Brighton Laster with DJ Line working the cameras and controls as our producer. DJ is using the cameras provided by the great Dougie Beard. Tonight is brought to you by the Touring Kart Championship League. We're excited to bring them here at Auto Club Speedway, a great 2-mile track that we're seeing its close and tear down in the real world, but it'll still be here on iRacing. Once again in the booth is me, Alexander Valderas, and Brighton Laster. And one thing we want to mention is thank you so much to Maconi Entertainment. They make this all possible, and for you at home to be able to see the racing on your screens. And not only can we thank Maconi Entertainment, but we can also thank Maconi Setup Shop, the official setup shop of eNASCAR and the sponsor of the C-Fixed series. Well, let's take a look at the series schedule as we're now mentioning. We've gone through a couple weeks already. If you're just joining us now, November 13th, Auto Club. Going to be an exciting race at this 2-mile racetrack. Then another bumpy one next week, North Wilkesboro. Going to be a few action-packed weeks as we go to Darlington and Bristol. So a mix of all 3 different track lengths and track types. Going to be an exciting one to see for the rest of this month and so forth. So, after that out of the way, we had a good race in Vegas just a few days ago, a couple weeks ago actually. Point standings, going to get that up on your screen here shortly. Going to take a look at the points battle we have right now. Justin Knoll out with a very short lead over Matt Haas there. 452 points for Matt Haas, closing in the gap. Then Sam Bowen, Colin Grace, and Seven Hawthorne rounding out the top 5. Track information. Oh, hey, Brad. Hey, Brighton, what's going on?
Hey, I just want to point out Christian Leonard qualified 3rd with no practice. He's in there 6th in points. You got a real tight points battle. 5th all the way to 10th are only separated by 20 points. So we got a real tight battle heating up there for the 5th to 10th spot.
As you mentioned there, actually, Seven Hawthorne and Christian Leonard are tied on points coming into tonight's event here at Auto Club Speedway. Speaking of Auto Club, here is the track information. 14 degrees of banking in both of the corners. Opened in 1997 with a length of 2 miles or 3.22 kilometers in length. And tonight, it's going to be great. Now, as we get ready to show you the Q grid, any final thoughts before we get ready to see these cars on track, Brighton?
So this track, very unique track. It's making 14 degrees of banking. Doesn't sound like a lot, but this track is very wide. 5 up to 6 lines these drivers can use up by the wall to save your tires, but very, very risky to get into it. Or you can run down bottom and try to save as much time as you can. Now, we're going to see cars hitting about 100 to 190 miles, 180 to about 190 miles an hour. This is kind of a super speedway type track, not a whole lot of off throttle, and especially not a whole lot of on brake time tonight. So you gotta make your runs count. You might see someone send it into the corner. Now the track record, this track does hold the closed course world record by Gil DeFerrin in the IndyCar way back in 2000 at 241.428 miles an hour. Obviously, we won't be going that fast tonight, but a lot of exciting action nonetheless.
A lot of exciting action nonetheless. Now, we've mentioned here with this car, the Xfinity car, it's not like the truck or the next gen at all. It's at bare bones. Probably the Gen 4 stock car. A lot of power, not a lot of downforce. You're going to be slipping and sliding. And one thing that we would like to mention is the sliding of the right rear. It's been a talking point all season, been a thing to look out for in the Xfinity car because one slide and you're along for the ride. So along with managing the right front, you have to manage that right rear if you want grip on corner exit. And that's going to be a great, great thing to learn to master if you want to go to victory lane. As we get ready to wind down qualifying, had a great race in Vegas just a couple weeks ago. Sam Bowen came away with the race win over Justin Knoll. Actually, a great battle there at the front. Went all the way green, had green flag pit stops. Sam Bowen led those last 44 laps, put on a clinic of a race, seeing if he can repeat that here tonight. 75 laps or 150 miles here at Auto Club Speedway in California. So we're still on the West Coast swing, getting ready for some heat and hot temperatures here in Fontana, California. getting ready to start our race. As these drivers get ready to grid, there they are, just showing up right behind the pace car. Brighton, you've raced at Auto Club a few times on Sim. What do you think are your main points to see what might happen in order to come in victory lane?
So like you mentioned, the Xfinity car, it's very easy to scrub your tires and lose all grip for a run. We only had one caution way back in Walkingham and 0 cautions last week in Vegas. So cautions isn't something to expect if you make a mistake. Come down and get new tires. You have 3 tires in the stall. Obviously, you don't want to abuse them. You can make them set or make a set last for about 30-40 laps. That's about the same distance as a fuel run for these guys. But you gotta be careful. You burn up that right front, you get a little bit loosey-goosey like we just talked about, and you are in trouble for the rest of that run. And you, like I said, you can't expect on cautions. You know, we only have 13-14 drivers here tonight. So save your tires and be there at the end.
Be there at the end, they will. Taking a look at the qualifying order right now, Jake Innes on pole with a 40.114 over David Desvella in second. Then it's Christian Leonard and Justin Knoll. These two were battling it out a lot at Vegas last week, starting right next to each other here in Auto Club, so proving to be a great season for them. Just so then Matteo Giuliano in 5th position, 7 Hawthorne, our Daytona winner, season opener, who currently sits 4th in points. Then it's Dylan Benson and Christian Barker sharing the 7th and 8th spot that row together. Sam Bolin, last week's winner, who came home with the win in Vegas, Sin City, starts 9th with a 40.719. A lot of time to improve on his position. Then it's Philippe in 10th with a 40.783. Really close on times, as the rest of this field really isn't that spread out. Matt Haas, who also ran strong, got a little acquainted with the outside wall. He'll have to do some better to see if he can roll the laps and get it done here tonight at Auto Club. Then it's Kevin Aguilar in 12th, rounding out, I believe, the 6th row of the grid. Then it's Tony Brewer, who is the last person to set a time. Colin Grace lines up 14th. So, with all of these guys now getting ready to roll, it is going to be a tough one. Some cloud cover tonight shows us a little bit different of what we saw in Vegas. Sun was shining at Vegas. A little bit of a hotter track temp. Might be a little cooler tonight. But one thing we can say for certain, 71 degrees air temperature with 78 degrees track temperature. So, cooler than most average races. And just because it's cool doesn't mean you're quite safe. You could not heat up your right rear as much as you wanted to, and it could still be sliding. And when you do that, one slide, you're along for the ride. Heading into turn 3 now for the first time here in Auto Club, getting ready to send it green from Fontana, California. An absolute barn burner last week. Going to hope for another one this week. As things get ready to roll here in Auto Club, got a whole field of 14 drivers ready to battle it out for 75 laps and 150 miles here in California as the pace car makes its dive down pit road. We're going to say, get ready to go green. We're in the Geico restart zone, and the green flag is in the air. We're racing at Auto Club. Really tight off of turn 2. We see a lot of these guys swerving all the way down the racetrack using these multiple lanes. Now, Auto Club is a track. And you can see all multiple lanes being used. You can see it already diving down low. And we can see people ripping the boards like we did see last week in Vegas. A lot of these guys, trouble for the 19. He slides up the track, almost doors the 87. You can just see already some people starting to get loose, and we have trouble. Already the 18 looks to slide, and he's going to save it. Already, we're seeing incidents on the track, and we're barely on lap 2.
Yeah, a lot of drivers were sliding their tires, not great for the rears, but 7 Hawthorne was 3 wide there and got a little bit help from Dylan Benson, who was basically on skis the entire first lap. Got a little bit loose, come off the 4 down in the 7, and went sliding. He's going to be A-okay, but he locked the tires up. Definitely going to hurt that grip if he continues out, which it appears he is, but not the start your Daytona winner 7 Hawthorne wanted.
Jake Innes with a commanding lead already going on to lap number 3. But Dylan Benson is still in the range to see if he can catch up to make a move. The difference is, do you want to try and be aggressive this early, catch up some of that time? And you can see already, even just sitting behind him, they're not running the exact same lane. You can see that the 41 just sliding off of that seam, and Jake Innes, our leader, running a little higher than the rest. Already, though, we can see these multiple different lanes being used. The bottom, I'd say, is better for saving tires in my past experience here at Auto Club. As we can see there, Jake Innes doing just that. But the 41 of Benson, he wants to get that race lead again. He's already getting as close to the wall as we've seen anybody and running that top side lane.
Yeah, Dylan Benson kind of got shot out of a rocket. He was the first one to go into the bottom lane there and turn on the first lap. Started 7th all the way up to 2nd, chasing down Jake Innes. So Dylan Benson trying to try different lanes. He's kind of making it work. He's tried up by the wall. He's tried down low. He's found where there's grip, and he's currently running down Jake, who started in first and all the way about half a second lead. But Dylan Benson is coming, and he is coming fast.
You can see they're using those different lanes, trying to make something of it. And it looks like he has. He's started to catch up to our leader. Jake Innes is going to put on a battle for the lead. Already within that range of just a couple tenths. Riding on board with David Davala. He is just crushing the start. De Silva, sorry. This is David De Silva. One of his, I think, his first starts this season, apart from one in Daytona, I believe. But he's currently sitting right now in 6th spot, watching all these guys battle out front. Our two leaders have amassed quite a gap over the rest of these guys. These three in front of him battling hard. He hopes to make some time on these guys in front of him. And if they make a mistake, he's in prime position to get a lot of spots out of it.
Dylan Benson, another one making his series debut tonight, and that's something kind of you're not used to. You know, some of these guys have been here for all 3-4 races, and they know what to expect when they're racing around these guys, for the past 3 or 4 weeks. If you're someone new like Dylan Benson, you have no idea who you can trust to not send it in a corner. You don't know who's going to give you a break, and that's something to really build as you go throughout the season. So these new guys like David De Silva and Dylan Benson try and make the most of it, not play too across to really lose spots, but also you gotta be a little bit weary if you're making a move and you're making it around. So as you see the back bumper cam there is David De Silva with a hard charging recuperation effort here. He started 2nd, slipped all the way back into 6th, and you see guys behind him running all the way down there on that white line. That's number 19 of Christian Leonard. So he started 3rd. He's faded back a little bit to 5th. Some of these guys, not quite the start they wanted, but they're trying to make the most of it as they can.
Some of these guys back here are trying to recoup after not the best start that could have been. Jake Innes seems to have the best start so far. He's still leading over the rest of these guys, and it started to actually pull a gap to 2nd place. Dylan Benson, who was catching him earlier, now he finds himself still in 2nd spot, being gapped a little bit. Now, some of these guys here in the back put on an absolute barn burner here at Vegas here just a couple weeks ago. And these guys looking to do it again. Christian Leonard now side by side. And he's going to be side by side with last week's winner, Sam Bolin, in that 13 machine. He absolutely put on a clinic a couple weeks ago in Vegas. Absolutely. He drove away from the rest of the field. He started getting caught there at the end of the run, but it was absolutely clear who the race winner was. And right now, not looking to be the best start of the race. He is catching the rest of these guys, though. I believe he sits in the 7th position. He actually sits in 6th, so made up a few spots off of where he started in 9th, gained about 3 spots. One of the best movers of the race so far. And he's looking to see if he can get another win on the season. We haven't really seen him perform all that well at any track really bigger than an intermediate, but that could be, this could be the race where he proves the doubters wrong and he could go back to victory lane. All up to him as he uses that bottom lane to try and save his tires.
So that Sam Bolin there, you talked about it, put on a...
Oh, trouble! The 41 loose on the backstretch, and he's gonna try and save it. He's still saving it, and he does! What a save! Loose from the exit of 2 all the way to the entry of 3. What a save!
he was pretty much saving the thing down the entire back straightaway, back and forth, left and right. He was already cranking that wheel. He's going to retain that second spot. Now he's got a lot of hard counters up behind him. That's Mateo Juliano and Justin Knoll right behind him there. You see Mateo now looking on the inside. No contact. A little bit of love into the wall. Dylan Benson. A little bit of bumper love from Mateo. Now going to come down. And I believe it's just going to turn him in the wall.
Off of turn 2, massive crash, hoods flying in the air, and our last week's winner, Sam Bolin, hard into the tires, and the debut gone from great to not so great for Dylan Benson, who had an amazing save and then was just pushing just way too hard in the end to keep up the spots that he was going to lose. Massive. And you can see here, he just comes off the wall, tries to gain the spots. The 85 is not giving him any room, and he's not giving the 85 any room. Hoods flying all the way in the air. Multiple cars involved, a couple saves, but Sam Bolin just hard into that tire barrier. We had thoughts might come back and win this race. Doesn't look like that's going to happen. He's going to find himself the tire barrier. 11. Looking at another angle of the incident here, you can just see slides up into the 41, does the 87, and the 41 trying to get back into the groove, and there comes the 85, and he's not expecting him to come all the way down the track, and that's just a racing incident. You know, you can see mostly on Dylan Benson's fault, but going for the same piece of racetrack, you know, it's never spot. And on that side, it's just on both parts. Caution is out on lap 11 here in Auto Club. And pit stop's already back underway. We can see a lot of group of these guys coming into pit road.
Yeah, when you get upset like that, it's real easy to just kind of lose where on track you are when you're trying to save it. And I'm sure Benson obviously not taking too good care of his car. His rear tires are already hot from sliding him a bunch on lap 1. And this unfortunate series of events for a lot of other innocent contenders for that one. So they do have 2 faster pairs. That's a good news. They can come down and get their cars fixed, I do believe. So I might be wrong, but I want to say it's 2 faster pairs. So they can come down and kind of reset themselves. They have to reset the tires. I say you're kind of stupid if you don't. That's a good 10-lap run there. We're going to be looking at having 60-ish or so laps of green flag racing. You won't be good on fuel, so you're going to have to make at least one more pit stop. But I think that's going to kind of show these drivers, hey, you can run multiple lines, but you can't slide into someone. You can't. I just see an accident there on pit road. Someone's going to get turned around. That's a 14 of Philip Drabzinski. Not really sure what he's doing. Looks like he's a little skewed out, grilling and chilling there on pit road. But goes to show you, still early in the race, a lot of room for error. They just can't quite have that. As what should have been a 1 or 2 accident there with Mateo and Benson turned into 5-6 cars now with a faster pair wasted.
So we've seen a lot of stuff on pit road. Jake Ennis seems to get out really slowly from his pit stall. And he was our leader and is not going to be our leader anymore. I believe he'll end up somewhere within the top 5. Did get all that good of a run out of pit lane. The rest of these guys, though, the 87 shoots up to first. That's Juliano over Christian Leonard and De Silva. These guys up front, you know, we haven't seen them all much. Christian Leonard we have. He's fighting for the top 5 spot in points. He's actually in a tie with someone else right now. So being in second is really good for his points.
Yeah, Christian Leonard qualified on the pole last week in Vegas, led 8 laps early on, and hasn't seen that front spot since. So kind of looking for a little bit of redemption. And ironically, the driver that caused the wreck, Mateo Juliano, is now in front. So he did come down, he did pit, but it's going to be real interesting to see what changed things. And we talked about Jake. He was up front, had 2 or 3 second lead at the time that caution came out. He had Dylan Benson behind him, but he hasn't really dealt with being in traffic all that. Now he's got 3 or 4 guys in front of him, and now he's got to kind of play, you know, with that dirty air. He's got to pick and choose the lane. He can't just go wherever he wants. So definitely shaking things up here for Jake Ennis.
So definitely not the pit stop Jake Ennis wanted. Gonna have to fight through a few cars to get back to where he was leading this race. Juliano, the person who was involved in one of the wrecks, actually finds himself in the lead after a great pit stop. It's interesting because he wasn't the reason why the caution got brought out necessarily. Well, he did get involved in one of the incidents, finds himself in the lead. The rest of these guys choosing to line up on the bottom. So no one really filling out that outside lane. Going to be interesting to see what those guys do on the bottom as the pace car eventually going to make its dive down pit road as we go for the first restart here tonight at Auto Club. Had one of the biggest wrecks we've seen all season in just a matter of a few laps. And we're going to get ready to take the green flag here in the Geico restart zone. Barney's going to wave it away, and we're green for the first restart in Auto Club. Oh, trouble. The 87 gets loose out of turn 2. He's going to save it. Going to drop it back down on the apron. And I was going to say, all these guys fanning out. And, you know, some of these guys got to be careful of how much they try and push into turn 1 and 2. Because if your tires aren't up to the warmth you expect them to be, it's going to be loose. These guys aren't going to expect it. The 18 slides up the track. 7 Hawthorne. Loose off the exit of 4. He's going to be split 3 wide in the middle between the 19 of Christian Leonard and the 25 of Jake Innes. He's going to make his battle back to the lead.
That 7 Hawthorne currently has the fastest lap of the race, but he's got hard charging Jake Innes and company. That's Christian Leonard on the top, but they're still 3 wide coming off of turn 2. Neither driver is really backing down, kind of shorting out, going in the 3. Leonard with the position out front. 7 Hawthorne hard charging. You see these drivers really taking different lines, different approaches. They kind of have to. You don't want to be in that dirty air. Jed brought it up. Tire temperature is a key point. You ran 10 laps, had a lot of heat on their tires. That's a battle for the lead. It's definitely heating up, but it's still going to take a couple laps. You've already had that confidence you need without side nose rears. We're still 3 wide. Give up that to Christian Leonard, but only by 400th of a second. And now we have the number 8 machine of Matt Haas on the bottom trying to join this party. And you also have Dylan Benson we just talked about being in that wreck. You have 5 cars under a blanket and give it to Jake Innes off of turn 2, but not for long.
Took that fast repair, and they're all going to be door to door entering turn number 3. Riding on board with Matt Haas, who's currently 2nd in points, and finds himself trying to fight for 2nd in the race, fighting with one of his championship rivals, Jake Innes, who has been good pretty much all season. But Matt Haas, seeming to be the most consistent driver so far, hasn't really shown off a lot of speed overall, but he's been really consistent to find himself up in that 2nd spot in points. Now, a lot of people switching lanes, going to that high side, that speed and that arrow you get off the wall, and running about a lane off it, minimizing that chance you might slap the right rear into the wall, cause some damage on your race car. But right now we're seeing an electrifying battle for the lead as Jake Innes retakes the lead going into 3.
Yeah, Matt Haas, we were just talking about, there has 3 top 10s to finish. Top 10 is a little bit bumper level, gonna get a little loose coming off of turn 4, saves it pretty good, keeps her straight. 3 top 10 runs though for Matt Haas, but not a single top 5. So still looking for his first top 5 of the season. He had a couple laps last week in Vegas and then Daytona way back on week 1, but looking for that first dominating performance of the season. He's been consistent, 2nd point, 16 back off of Justin Knoll, who currently runs inside the top 10, but just barely in the 8th position. So Justin Knoll not quite having the night he's looking for so far. Might be saving his tires for a late stage run. As we still have 3 cars pretty much under a blanket. That's Matt Haas, we just talked about in the 8 Hellman's Mayo machine. Try and put it on the outside of Christian Leonard through 3 and 4. Can't quite see the deal, but now looking to get a run down the front straightaway. Gonna do a bit of draft there, not washed up too bad. But Jake Innes returning to his previous form has about a 2-3 tenth lead as they are side by side now for 2nd. Matt Haas trying to get his first top 3 of the season, led on top 5. He's going bigger, going home, and now shoving on the inside of Jake Innes. Be careful, don't burn up the tires too fast, Matt.
And we're going to see him with actually a great performance here in Auto Club tonight so far. Cup is actually something to write home about, as we've been seeing him kind of run strong here lately, and it looks like he is going to run strong here at Auto Club so far. Actually going on that apron like the drivers do in real life, trying to get that extra grip and rotation. Doesn't look like it's going to work, and he's going to slide up the track. Saw him be somewhat fast in Vegas, but he got too frequent with the wall, and that really slowed him down and hurt his chances to win. in Vegas, finds himself in 4th. So whether or not he comes home within the top 4 or not, it's going to be a good point stay. If he can keep it where he is right now, it's going to be a good point stay over his championship rival, Justin Knoll, who seems to be not having the best race we've seen. He's still languishing back in the later stages of the top 10. Riding on board with Christian Aguilar right now, currently 7th, around that. Kevin Aguilar, sorry, who's finding his way around the racetrack out of turn 4. Currently rides about 7th spot. His highest was 3rd. We didn't see him run well earlier on in the race. In that pack of all those guys battling side by side, it's difficult when you're running side by side with people and you want to either just push and get ahead of all the people in front of you, or you're thinking, I got to save my tires, I got to be careful. But then you're getting raced almost 2-3 wide constantly. And as a driver, you get frustrated. I know you have experience racing door-to-door with people, and I know it gets frustrating when you're trying to run your own race and people are just constantly being side by side with you, trying to mess you up, and you just got to stay focused and run your own race.
That Christian Leonard's restarting on the bottom for the lead and looking to get a nose off of Jake Ennis off of turn 4. Something I'm real weary about. We took the green with about 63 green flag laps left, assuming there's no caution, which we haven't really had that many cautions that broke the streak, that 10 caution, no big deal, broke the streak. We had no cautions at all last week, like I mentioned. But we want to see the track numbers start heating up, we want to see the beef start heating up amongst the drivers, and we want to see tire start heating up. So these tires, they're just sending it every lap. And he's blocking all the way to the bottom. Christian Leonard sending Jake Ennis to the bottom. But if you burn the tires up too much early on, you might even see yourself go a lap down. Speaking of a lap down, we're side by side for lead. Sam Bolin, who had a pretty decent start, unfortunately in that wreck all the way back in lap 10, is 2 laps down. So Sam Bolin had a dominating performance last weekend in Vegas. Obviously not the dice going for him tonight. All the way back in 13th, 2 laps down. But they're still side by side going into turn 1. Christian Leonard kind of shot out of a rocket we talked about. Qualified quick time last week and didn't have the great performance, and now he said, this is my time to shine. Same with Matt Haas. Hasn't been Mr. Consistent when it comes to top 5, but looking to finally check that box off. As Seven Hawthorne kind of has come out of nowhere, too, in his last couple laps.
Seven Hawthorne has put on the charge to get to the top 3, and it looks like it's worth sitting right behind the rear bumper of Christian Leonard in that 19 machine, who currently finds himself trying to fight for the lead. Jake Ennis, who was leading and had a bigger gap before, now finds himself being reeled in. Riding on board with Seven Hawthorne, currently in 3rd. Gonna give a little bit of push to Christian Leonard. He knows that if he wants to catch Jake Ennis, he is fast. So he has to help out all the people around him, because it's better to help people catch as a group than to try and slow down the pack just trying to catch it on your own. With 2 miles and a lot of draft being important here at Auto Club, because even though you still have to lift and even sometimes brake at this track, it is still a track with a lot of on-throttle time, and especially with the long corners and the long straightaways, you have to be sure that you stay in the pack. If you get out of the pack for any reason, it could be detrimental for your race, and that's exactly what we're seeing now. This top 4 has started to drive away from the rest of these guys behind, form their own pack out front right now. My only concern is they're racing really hard, and while it's great to see a lot of racing, that's going to bring these guys behind them in closer. These guys behind him have a mindset of, I'm going to race. Ooh, slides in the wall. It's the 41 of Benson. He's going to slide his right rear across the wall. But now Seven Hawthorne moves up and he gains that spot. Going to drop all the way down low to that first seam.
That Jake Ennis was loving that battle for second behind him, was able to pull away an extra 3 or 4 tenths from the second group, the battle for second there amongst his top 3 or 4 drivers. So Seven Hawthorne, when by himself catching the top 2, was about a tenth, maybe even 2 tenths per lap quicker, and then he caught him and took a couple laps to get around Christian Hawthorne. I can see the battle. Christian Leonard. See the battle there. Dylan Benson on the outside of Mateo Juliano. We talked about these two a couple laps ago. Didn't play too nice, and that might be Benson saying, hey, remember me? So Juliano going to take the position there for 7th from Dylan Benson. Dylan Benson, also just mentioned, got a little bit into the wall that last time out of turn 2, so might be such a performance. Now, here comes Sam Bolin 2 laps down, sliding in front of him. That was real tight. Obviously, if you're a lap car, you don't want to be disrespecting guys on the lead lap. So if I'm Dylan Benson, I'm not real too fond of that move. But obviously, just got to play conservative here. As we are almost we are now under 50 laps to go in this race. And he's been on this track for 16, 17 laps, longest green flag of the race. Dylan Benson is really showing the pain on his tires. He descended on his turn 1, now going side for Juliano, almost making contact. But he's really struggling for rear grip, it seems. So Dylan Benson, the first tire, I don't want to say fender, but he's really showing that he's used up his stuff and matching some of these top guys. As Jake Ennis has easily pulled away 6, 7 tenths now from these top 3 or 4 guys.
Getting some info from one of the drivers, the driver with number 27, Colin Grace, wanted to inform us that he had to drop out due to technical issues, so he will find himself near languishing in the back. So not a good finish for him, but you were saying how these guys are racing up front, and that's one thing. These guys have been sliding all around in the back as well. You're mentioning tire wear. Now, these guys haven't really had all that much experience on a very long run. First run was about 11 laps before the caution, so we've already run longer this run than the first. So these guys are in kind of unmanned territory, trying to see what line works best for saving the tires and what line works best for speed. And as a driver, you have to learn when to manage and to see what line to use and when. So all these guys having to battle it out, not only with the cars on the racetrack, but with their own inner thoughts of whether I need to push now or am I going to save and try and push later. Riding on board with David De Silva, he has actually set a good lap times, and he seems to be still somewhat on pace. The fall off has been quite large for all of these guys. As he looks to make a move on Matt Haas, he's going to go to the bottom of the racetrack, and actually he's going to use that middle and see if he can slide up right in front of him.
Yeah, talking about fall off, 7 Hawthorne was one of the quickest cars, well, not racing trucks, racing cars, quickest cars on the track, like I said, just a couple laps ago. And now he's 4, even 5 tenths off your leader, Jake Ennis, who's really pulled away. Christian Leonard got a little bit into the wall going into turn 1 at last time by. Didn't hurt him too much, but really let Jake Ennis pull away. So tire fall off is the name of the game here. We talked about 7. Had a great run going for a couple laps. I think it's apparent he also burned his stuff up real too early on. So fastest lap was the 41 of Dylan Benson, 40.66. For reference, some of these guys are doing mid-42s, even slower than that. So only about 20 laps on these tires, not even that, and they're already seeing over 2 seconds fall off already. So fall off, a lot of drivers talked to them early on. They weren't too worried about it, but obviously playing a huge factor tonight.
A large factor in tonight's race, tire wear. At one of the biggest tracks besides the super speedways, Auto Club being a 2-mile racetrack, half a mile longer than most of the intermediates, so that tire wear really does matter when trying to keep your speed up. And gonna do a quick mid-race analysis. Race length 75 laps and 150 miles. Pit road speed 55 miles an hour. 4 sets available plus the car. Some of these guys have already taken a couple sets, so just a few more down before the end of this race. 3 green light check-in attempts and 2 fast repairs. We saw a few people earlier take a few fast repairs down and then a fixed setup. And that is your Maconi Setup Shop eNASCAR race analysis. And as we keep going on, tire wear, talking up, it's a large point because a lot of these guys really kind of starting to struggle because we only had an 11-lap run, and that's when guys were starting to push. So these guys are having an unmanned territory, trying to learn whether or not it is time to push. The one driver who seems to have it down is Jake Ennis, who is absolutely pulled away from the rest of the field. He has been one of the fastest drivers all season. Been wrecked a couple times and not had some races go his way, but you shouldn't count him out ever when going into a race weekend because he has been one of the fastest drivers. Look at that fastest last lap, 42.339. He has been on it and he has saved his tires almost better than all the people behind him. Saw 7 Hawthorne be one of the fastest guys, here at Auto Club just a few laps ago, and then sank like a rock. Started running 42.7s, 4 tenths off of our leader, Jake Ennis. He's been running that bottom lane ever since those two were battling right behind him, and that has allowed him to open up a long gap on the rest of the field. These guys really have to know when it is time to save and when it's time to push, as a caution is out on the racetrack. So first multi-caution race since Daytona. And I believe we're going to see what that caution was for. Oh, it's Dylan Benson again. Finds himself, I believe, in the front stretch grass, and look at that right front. So clearly,
he didn't really have any help.
Again.
He just came off the corner, kind of like he came off of turn 2 way back early in the race and went back. Maconi Entertainment replay here. Hopefully, just see him go and see him come off of turn 4. No help, just kind of lost it on his own. We talked about drivers struggling for grip. It's how he didn't like the California grass here and decided to mow it for free. So Dylan Bunsen, not too hurt. Obviously, his tires are very butthurt though in that ground keeper there at Auto Club. So Dylan Bunsen just doing We're almost inside the fuel window. So we have another look here on board the cockpit. Team really worked that wheel a little bit back and forth, and then once he got correct going into the wall, just kind of gassed up to avoid going into it. So coming from a real life driver's perspective, that's obviously something you want to do, is not hit the wall, but I feel like he might have been able to put a little bit more wheel and save it, but bringing out. Third incident though, remember he was all the way back in that lap 1 incident where he ran into 7 Hawthorne. It's him locking it up down the front stretch. And Dylan Benson actually don't park it for the night.
So I'm not one to start conspiracies here, but I really like the Xfinity car. It's one of my favorite cars on the service, and I really haven't seen it snap like that. But I could be wrong, you know. This condition, I really haven't run Auto Club in these conditions, and we've seen drivers. I mean, he had a great save earlier, so it could have just been got away from him, got, you know, loose, the rear tire slid away from him, and he ends up in the front stretch grass. But as the field comes back down pit road, oh, the 39 misses his stall, has to back up. So does the, I believe that's the 87, misses his stall, has to back up again. We've already got people coming off pit road, and it looks like Jake Innes having a slow start once again, but he'll win the battle off pit road just barely over Christian Leonard and 7 Hawthorne. Then I believe it's the 4 of Kevin Aguilar. He moves up to 4th. So really great pit stop for him. And as these guys get ready to move back on to the racetrack, we're going to catch you back live after a moment under commercial. We're going to catch you back live here in Auto Club. We'll see you then.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need: Maconi.
With the launch of Maconi Entertainment and Maconi Competizone alongside Maconi Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MaconiSetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at Maconi Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Back in Fontana, California, here at Auto Club Speedway. And we had a caution there on lap 35. And right now we're racing with the TKC National Series, brought to you by Maconi Entertainment, bringing you all sorts of racing on this racetrack and on the iRacing virtual calendar. Right now we're under caution for the second time here tonight. First race since Daytona, I believe, to have multiple cautions in a race. So definitely things are heating up here under the California sun. And we've seen a couple tempers. We've seen really clean racing. And these guys have been racing really good all race. And as you mentioned there, Brayton, just before we went to commercial, this is going to be a bit of a reset for the people who didn't really save their tires all that well. Get to come into pit road, get a fresh set of tires, and really hammer home what they need to improve on this second stint if they want to make up the spots over everybody else. And I believe we also want to touch base on the Lucky Dog. I believe the 13 of Sam Bolin got the Lucky Dog. He is now only one lap down. And Brighton, any other thoughts we have?
Not to interrupt you there, Alex, but they went ahead and gave Sam a pity Lucky Dog too. That he has gone from 2 laps down to he is now back on the lead lap, with this one all the way scored in 12th. So Sam has given kind of a free resurgence here as we get ready to go green just inside the fuel window, just at around 40 laps, give or take, for fuel. This is really going to make drivers kind of push that button that they don't want to push. You know, when they're hoping a caution comes out to get ready to go green flag racing here, but I'd love me a good fuel mileage finish.
After a hot and temporary first section of the race, getting ready for the second restart, and we could see some fuel mileage here at Auto Club. The field lines up for the second restart of the race. Pace car dives down pit road. Barney ready as ever to wave the green flag. We're in the Geico restart zone, and we're going to be green from Auto Club. The 18 slides off the corner of 7. Hawthorne gets loose, and he's going to save it. So one slide, I did mention earlier, you know, one slide, you're along for the ride. So unless he can drive like a grandma to cool down those weird tires, not going to be a good rest of the run for him. But still loose already. We've got a spin, and we've got a wreck. I believe it's the 93 sideways, and the caution's back out again. And this is the first triple caution race since Daytona. Things are heating up here in California. And we've got another wreck and another caution on lap 40. And De Silva in the 39 goes around, gets loose off of turn 4. So the restart, cold tires, we did see an extra lap while we could go under commercial. And that could have been what caught some of these drivers out, getting really loose, had a snap. And it looks like he almost hit it, and involves the 87. That's his third incident here tonight. And it looks like it's going to be a front bumper off of the incident that just brought out the yellow. You can see there the on board with the 87 looking at the wreck, and you can see he just couldn't go low enough off the corner. And missing wrecks, even at a big track like this, still can be hard because everyone's trying to go everywhere. Everyone's fanning out everywhere, using all those lanes, and you're trying to get away and avoid the wreck, and you know, it's either pit road or the grass, and you didn't have very many options there.
Now Mateo Juliano is not having a great night. Restarted from the lead all the way back in lap 14, and once again cold tires struck, and he spun on the apron. So, not tonight. He's one also involved in that lap 10 wreck with Dylan Benson. So I don't think he had to use any fast repairs yet, so he should still have one in the bank after coming down, I'm assuming taking a fast repair. But obviously not the restart he wanted. So David De Silva, also involved in that lap 10 wreck, got plowed into by, I believe it was the 85 of Noel back on lap 10. I might be mistaken there, but these drivers kind of you're given a chance to reset yourself. Every caution you have, like, hey, I know what didn't work that last restart. I know what kind of didn't work that last one. So this gives them a chance to kind of get more heat built up in those tires, but also cool them down. But you're not going out on this restart on freshly cold tires. You're going to have some heat in them, and they kind of send a little bit more. I don't think it's safe to just mash your gas and fly through the corner like you're in the middle of a run. So you might see some drivers though get a little bit ballsy and be like, hey, I'm gonna thumb up on the dash and we're gonna see what we have going up by the wall and doing this restart. So Justin Knoll needs to do something a little bit different. We haven't talked about him a whole lot tonight. Your points leader, actually, we talked about him not doing so hot. So he's all the way back up in second. He was barely inside the top 10 just 20-30 laps ago. And then we didn't lead any laps at all really in Vegas, or Rockingham hasn't led a single lap since Daytona, and there was only 3 laps back then. So Justin Knoll looking for some redemption here tonight.
Justin Knoll looking to get another win on the season, or at least another attempt at a win. And right now, Jake Innes has looked strong all race. I believe now he's led the most laps out of anybody. And if he keeps leading laps, he'll be the only driver to lead that unless we get overtime. Now, you know, you were saying every caution, you get a chance to reset. And this is exactly what Seven Hawthorne needed. He got really loose off of 2, finds himself at the back of the pack behind all the drivers he was just in front of. But this really saved him because it gave him a chance to cool down his rear tires. They're going to be a couple percent down than the rest of everybody in the field. But if he can manage and try and save them well enough, I believe he can cut back through the field and he can get right back to the front once again. But it's going to be tough for him to try and come back through the field. These guys eager to go green once again. We've been seeing some fantastic 2-3 wide racing here in Fontana, California. And these guys itching to get back under green. We were under green for about a lap without another caution there for the 39 spinning off the exit of 4 and collecting another car in the 87. But the pace car gonna go down pit road. And it's going to be another restart from Auto Club. Barney getting ready to wave the green flag once again where the Geico restart zone, and Jake Innes is already gone. Green flag in the air from Auto Club. So far, so good. Kind of clean out of turn 2. A little bit of wiggling from Justin Knoll in the 85. Now, the paint scheme on this race. Oh, and he's going to send it in, and he's going to tap the rear end of Christian Leonard. Sorry. He's going to tap the rear end of the 19 of Christian Leonard, and he's going to move him out of the way, going to move him up the track, and he's hungry for that lead.
For the 85, Justin Knoll apologizing on the radio to the other drivers, and they're not too happy about that move. But go ahead and get a wheelbarrow for Jake Innes. We talked about not sending in too deep on that restart. The tire's still a little bit cold, but he didn't have any regard as the battle was really heating up behind him. Justin Knoll going to settle for that 3rd spot. Saw him 3 wide for a little bit. And was talking again about 11. Here comes Matt Haas on the bottom. Really sent it deep all the way to the apron in the 8 Hellman's Mayo machine. So going to slide up now. That is the number 4 of Tony Burt. And now 7 Hawthorne, who talked a little bit about tonight. He got a good chance to cool down his tires after sliding early in that last run. He's now all the way back up in the 4th spot after restarting, I believe, 7th or 8th. So Matt Haas really using up all the track. He said, I paid for it, I'm going to use it. You saw him take advantage of the apron, and it didn't really work out for him, but not scared to venture it down there and try something a little bit different, but I think it's going to hurt him in the long run. As now he's got the number 4. There's 2 number 4s, but the actual number 4 of Kevin Aguilar now coming around his outside. Aguilar up now 7 spots to steal that 5th spot from Matt Hoskins now, as we see him sliding up a little bit in the middle groove, a little bit loosey-goosey, but going to keep it straight all right. But Kevin Aguilar, a man on the mission, seems this run. Kind of shot out of a cannon, not too much. But Jake Innes now 3.5–4 tenths in front of your 2nd and 3rd place car as you ride on board with the 85 of Justin Knoll, looking on the inside of Christian Leonard.
That has paid $14.95 for this track, and he's going to use all of it. Going all the way down to the apron to see if he can find any more grip. Slides him back. Didn't really work the first time. So we're questioning why he tried to go for a second time, but it's good to experiment. It's good to see what might work and what might not, because things are going to change over the course of the race. A lane you thought wouldn't come in at all could be the fastest thing for laps after just a restart. The top was kind of starting to get worked in, and people weren't really running the bottom early on in the race, but now everyone seems to be kind of flocking to the bottom and the top. No one really running that middle lane. And then some of these guys choosing to do so now. So we're seeing a lot of these guys change up their lanes. And even though we've had a couple cautions, I still think they might be close on fuel.
And I think that last caution really helped with the running on board. We just talked about him, the actual formation of Kevin Aguilar all the way up in fourth. See what I did there? So he's got Christian Leonard on there at the bottom, now standing up in front of him and gets a big run running the top. I believe Jake Ennis has been hitting the wall a little bit, coming out and going in the corners. He's not scared to run the top, but a new found speed 7 Hawthorne. We talked about him spun his tires real early that last run, kind of hurt him. That caution gave him a second chance, and now you see him running the top there, only about a foot or so off the wall, running down Jake Ennis. Now he did the same thing that last green flag run. It was about 30 or 20 or 30 laps. And it's kind of, you know, is he chasing the monkey or is he playing the monkey, trying to be the monkey? Because he did the same exact thing last time. He got up front, got towards the front, had a lot of early run speed. And are we going to see him fall back one more time, or is he trying to get up here and actually stay up here? So it's just a game of time for 7 Hawthorne. And is he burning his stuff up way too early? I mean, he's going to the bottom of the top. You see him look on the inside of Jake Ennis there. Only 2/10 the distance, actually not even that, 900th of a second, I apologize, the distance between those two that last time by. Some of the closest battles Jake Ennis has had all night on 7 Hawthorne, looking to get the run out of turn 2.
A lot of these guys battling tooth and nail, and this has been one of the closest battles for the lead. Jake Ennis has had to try and contend with all night. One of his season-long rivals to try and battle for with the championship, running in that top 4 in points is 7 Hawthorne. Won the season opener, and now looks like he's trying to go for the lead and trying to win Auto Club. Another 2 mile above track. So he is trying everything he can to see if he can pass our leader, Jake Ennis. And all of these guys starting to get under a blanket here. And he slides up too close, and he's going to tap the wall. Here comes the 87 just behind him. What a run. He was really ripping those boards. Had to slow down to avoid the 18 to 7 Hawthorne. He'll slide back about 3 spots. And, you know, we were saying how could he have been sliding his tires a little too early? Could he have been pushing, trying to get to the lead? And we saw maybe a crack of a mistake, and it could lead to more.
That made a little bit of a mistake. I keep bringing it up. Tires are everything in this Xfinity car, especially here on iRacing. One little slide and you're in trouble. We talked about fuel also a little bit ago. I think that last caution is going to help him. We went green with about 38, 39 laps to go. So I think they should be okay. They're able to save a lap or 2 under that last caution. No one really came down except for those involved to the Auto and the Silva. So I think everyone though should be good on fuel for the most part unless we start getting in green, white, checker territory. I got them all over the wall.
We've got some smoke in the back. Some of these guys getting really acquainted with the outside wall. We saw that a lot in Vegas. You know, ripping the boards, trying to get that top line speed. We were talking about how there's a little bit of an air cushion when you try and put your right rear, especially on the wall. Gives it a little bit of a buffer, but if you break that, you're going straight into the wall. And the Xfinity car is a lot like the Gen 4 and the ARCA car in many ways, both in drivability and in the way how it gets almost magnetized to the wall. Once you get on the wall, it's really hard to get off unless you slow down considerably. Because it almost like as the faster you go against the wall, the more it wants to scrape against it. 7 Hawthorne now just scraping his right rear against the wall off of 2. Maybe that's who was doing it before. You know, we were seeing him try and catch Jake Ennis, our leader, but doesn't look like that's going to happen right now. A gap being formed once again for the 25, but not as big as it once was before. Christian Leonard in the 19 has actually started to catch the 25, I think. And it looks like he might be having a challenge on his hands for the lead. Christian Leonard started 3rd, currently 2nd, gained a spot overall this race. Been a really good race for him so far. Hasn't really been in a lot of incidents. Has been up front basically the whole race. And now coming down within the last almost 20 laps. You know, we've got some fuel mileage still left to run. I believe these guys aren't quite still super safe on fuel. You know, those couple cautions really do help if you save under them. But if you don't, you could still be using more fuel than you may be thinking. And while a caution will help any fuel run if you're running low, it doesn't guarantee until or unless you come down pit road, and that could what we be seeing maybe this time or maybe later in the race.
That Christian Leonard and Seven Hawthorne are two drivers I want to talk about. Being consistent is key, especially in a long season. Looking at 30 races in the Touring Kart Championship here. We're on that race 4. Now, Seven Hawthorne and Christian Leonard both missed a race. I believe they both actually missed Rockingham. However, Seven Hawthorne won Daytona and Christian Leonard got second. Skip Rockingham week 2 to go to week 3 or a couple weeks ago at Vegas, got an off week. And Christian Leonard third and Seven Hawthorne fourth. Both have an average finish of 2.5. That is astounding. I know we're still very early in the season, but these two drivers definitely try and make a long season run. I don't believe there's any drop weeks, so you're going to have to make up those points we talked about. They were tied, though, for 5th and 6th. 123 points up, or 123 points behind their leader, Justin Knoll, apiece. So they're also in that tight, we talked about, that tight points battle from 5th to 10th, only 20 points separating those guys. Kyle Manger, who's not here, got another one in the wall, that's Mateo Juliano. Not the night he's one to have, but Manger not here tonight. Indy Cassie as well. Jake Ennis, their current leader, still the first win, also in that tight points battle from 5th to 10th. And Eugenio Alonso not here tonight. So some guys are already going to make up the ground of those guys that they're around in points and start making a late race, or I don't say late season, but early season, mid-season charge, be able to carry that confidence. We have a new leader, but not for long. Christian Leonard, just talking about him and the speed he's had all season, ripping it up the fence. Still going to have the lead for a second coming off of turn 2. Now 2-3 car lengths in front of Jake Ennis. We might have solidified a new leader as they're over a second now from third place to Seven Hawthorne way back there. So these two drivers are really going at it as we are under 20 laps to go on this one.
Breaking under that 20 lap to go barrier. Now a new leader in Christian Leonard in the 19. He's going to go to the top spot over Jake Ennis. Now Jake Ennis was really running that bottom lane earlier. We saw him really ripping the paint, getting the most out of it when saving tires. Christian Leonard has been fast. He's been sitting behind him, but he's been ripping the boards. And even though he might be fast now, in a few laps, we could see that run diminish. But right now, he's looking strong out front. Here in Auto Club, we've been seeing a lot of great racing here tonight. And actually, this is one of the greatest battles we've seen for the lead. Now we can see running those two different lanes, Jake Ennis kind of falling back now. This is the first time we've really seen him not actually be one of the fastest cars on track. And that 18 just ahead of Justin Knoll in the 85. Seven Hawthorne looking to be one of the guys to try and catch up to the leaders. Pretty big gap already so far. These guys have been building up over the course of the run, but these two running side by side. Honestly, these two leaders trying to go at it again. This could help them try and catch and see if they can make some late race moves.
Yeah, you start to wonder, did Jake Ennis burn up his stuff too early? You don't want to think so. I mean, we had a 20-30 lap green flag run, which is roughly where we're at earlier in the race. So this is basically, you know, monkey see, monkey do. Just don't do what he did. That'd be confusing. But Christian Leonard has been one of the fastest cars on the track. Almost 2 or 3 tenths quicker than everyone else behind him. Jake Ennis made up a little bit of ground that last time by, but Leonard really taking advantage of up there by the fence. Now Jake Ennis making a hard charge to the front. Can't quite get there, but also Seven Hawthorne and Justin Knoll have been pretty quick the last couple of laps. So Justin Knoll, we talked about him, didn't have the greatest start to the race. Now running inside the top 5 and looking to solidify hopefully his points lead coming out here. Matt Haas with 16 points behind him going to this one, currently running way back in 8th. So Justin Knoll looking for a good points day, and so far he's got it.
So these two barely giving each other an inch. Coming within just about 15 laps to go. These two are getting really close and acquainted, and right now Christian Leonard gets close and acquainted with the wall. He's going to slide up just a bit too much, and he's going to go into the outside wall. So does Seven Hawthorne, slides to right rear into the wall. Jake Ennis resumes the lead out front at Auto Club where he was and has been sitting this whole race. So the people who have been fighting Jake Ennis have been really trying to get the maximum out of the car. And we've seen it both times. They get really, really close, battle it out, maybe even take the lead. But every time they try and catch and extend the lead, they get a little bit too trigger happy with the gas, get into the wall, and Jake Innes just passes him right by. He has been one of the most calm and collected people in this race this whole time. I don't even think he's used a fast repair. He has absolutely been on it this race, been super quiet, super conservative, out front, been one of the fastest and yet the best at saving. So he has been a lesson for all of these guys to learn and take home of how to properly manage a race.
Yeah, and they're actually catching that traffic. You see it up there in the distance coming out of turn 4. That's David De Silva. He was involved in an accident all the way back on lap 39. We talked about it like it was so long ago, but just happened, our most recent accident. So David De Silva, 3 laps down in the 12th position. Started second, so obviously not the performance he was looking for. But Jake Innes has been on cruise control almost all night, been out front and clean air. Restarted back in traffic, but didn't take too long to get back out front. And all it took was one little mistake from Christian Leonard, and Jake Innes capitalized it. As now Christian has really made a hard charge this past lap and a half, trying to recoup from that mistake. And now looking to take the lead again. I like to think Jake is saving his tires. He knows, hey, if this does go green, we're going to have 12, 13 laps left. And that's about the time it takes to really burn up a set. A little bit in the wall. Now side by side off of turn 4. Christian Leonard going to get the run off the bottom. Now side by side for the lead. Christian Leonard leads that last lap back out front, but still side by side through turn 1. Leonard with that advantage on the bottom. Jake going to try to ride the fence and angle and cut it down, kind of down the corner a little bit to get a good run off. But I like to think Jake is saving his tires, and he's now looking inside of Christian. This isn't really what you do for saving tires, but maybe he said it's not time to play with the toys, get out of the sandbox, and go ride my bike.
Maybe he's decided that it's go time. Jake Innes has been on cruise control all night. And now that he's actually in a battle for the lead, this whole time he's been saving his tires, and I feel like he realized that. He realized that while he's in the lead and he's in a comfortable spot, it's not over until the checkered flag. And he definitely realizes that with saving all the tires. And even though he was side by side, you could see him. He wasn't really leading, and his car didn't look that squirrely and out of control. It looked stable the whole time. So that really just proves the efforts he is taking to make sure that his car makes it to the end of the race. And right now, Christian Leonard retakes the lead over Jake Innes. And one person we haven't really talked about, the 85 now coming into the picture. A couple of gaps being formed, really bad corner for Jake Innes. So maybe he has a problem, I don't know, but he was saving really good earlier, been on cruise control all night long. And unless this is a bid to mess with his opponents into thinking, oh, he might have an issue when he's just saving up, cooling down the tires for another 1 lap push, as we're coming down to about 9 laps to go when we cross the line.
Yeah, you want to talk about Justin Knoll in third there, had the quickest lap that last time by, pretty close to Christian Leonard, but over 3/10 quicker than Jake Innes, so making up some ground on him. Sevin Hawthorne pretty quick, and Sam Bolin also, who had to get 2 lucky dogs, and now back on the lap in 5th. So making a hard charge to the front. They both made up, or those 3 drivers, Justin Knoll, Sevin Hawthorne, and Sam Bolin, have made up about second, if not more, due to this battle from Jake Innes and Christian Leonard. Now they really start to get in the tire tracks of that lap traffic. David De Silva being in dirty air isn't a bad thing, but it's definitely not a good thing either for these Xfinity cars. So that might come into a factor here. Hopefully we see De Silva get way out of the way for these guys, but I expect them to catch him probably in the next 2 or 3 laps at the rate they've been going.
So, one thing I would like to mention is all 3 of these guys are championship rivals. But one thing you also have to realize as a rival is if I race too hard with the guy below me and I let Christian Leonard just take away the race lead, if I work with the guy in front of me, we both have a shot of getting the win. And it could be that one of them walks away in victory lane. Right now, Christian Leonard possibly making a mistake. He looks to be really slow in the high side lane. Jake Innes looking low, and it seems to be working. He's as close as he's been the past few laps, and now he's making his attempt to get back into the race lead. So like I said, this could just be a little bit of mental games, kind of slowing down, looking like, oh, maybe Christian Leonard really is that fast. Maybe he has a chance. But right now, Jake Innes could just be saving his tires and building up for one strong push that maybe Christian Leonard can't handle.
Yeah, they're about half a second, at least Christian Leonard is off of David Da Silva. So you're going to get that draft down the straightaway. That's not what Jake Ennis wants to see, but it might hurt him a little bit in the corners. And they're basically running the identical line to each other. So Jake Ennis also in Christian Leonard's tire tracks. As it is kind of getting down to the wire, if you've saved anything in your tank, if you've saved any tires at all, now is the time to go. At this point, you might burn them up in the final lap or two and kind of struggle, but it is go time for most of these drivers. Speaking of being in go time, I mean, we have to see the battles all over the track. You got Tony Burton and Philip Drobzinski for 10th and 11th. They're only 2 or 3 tenths apart from each other, and they're absolutely sending sliders for the last car in the lead lap. Then you got, Sam Bowen kind of falling off a little bit, but Seven Hawthorne looking at the outside, looking in on his battle for the top 3 as they've now caught the lap traffic of David Da Silva. Christian Leonard looking on the outside, might get the run off of turn 2 and seal the deal. But this has really allowed Justin Knoll, looking for his first win this season, your points leader, has really come into the sandwich-making equation now. I don't know why I said sandwich-making equation, but I do love sandwiches, and Justin Knoll does not want to be in one. Hopefully making a clean pass if he can get up front to these guys right now.
Well, dreaming about sandwich, these guys almost look like a sandwich. You got the bread, and the meat in the middle, and that's Jake Ennis in the 25, who has been leading all this race, now coming with about 5 laps to go. And you mentioned something that we haven't brought up in about 20 laps, and that's fuel. A lot of these guys look to be really, really close at those couple of cautions we had back then. And right now, I didn't think of it until just now, but Jake could be saving. He's been in the lead. He's been in clean air, and that is one thing that really burns up fuel. Not being in the draft and not having someone break the air for you is increasing fuel consumption. So Jake could realize that if I slot him behind him, I have a chance to save a bit of gas, make sure I'm all the way good into the end of the race, getting the draft slot in behind Christian Leonard. And, maybe this gives me a better chance to try and make one last push for the end of the race.
Jake Ennis, as we're now inside the 5 to go window. I don't think we're going to have any green light checkers, but you never know. I want to say these guys are good on fuel, but Jake Ennis might just be playing it safe as Justin Knoll finally getting around the last car of David Da Silva, just barely off of turn 2 there. But I don't think Justin Knoll is going to catch these guys unless something drastic happens, but we've seen these guys lose a lot of time being side by side. I don't want to say we're super speedway racing, but you almost see him bump drafting there. But Justin Knoll has to make up about half a second or so, and he's only got 4 laps to do it. It's easy to do if you get these guys side by side, but being single file in their tire marks is not what Justin Knoll wants to see right now.
A mark of a good driver is realizing not what only can really benefit them, but maybe benefit these two. Because if these two want to go at it for the lead, maybe bump drafting a little bit down the backstretch might help. We've seen some of these guys really kind of work together because of how big of a track this is. The draft and the momentum means so much. And these guys really trying to work together to see if these two can come home and come away with a race win.
I'm telling you, if I'm Seven Hawthorne, I'm hoping these guys go 3 wide on the last lap into turn 3 and all wipe each other out, probably making sandwiches, and then be able to steal the win here. But that's not looking too likely, as now Christian Leonard extending that lead to over 3 tenths in front of Jake Ennis. 3 cars on the line, 3 laps to go. We're starting to dice things up here like a turkey maker. Turkey maker, turkey slicer, that's it. I'm too bent up on sandwiches, but this race is getting real exciting. Fuel might become part of the equation. We're not entirely sure. I don't want to see it, though, but this has been a barn burner of a race just like last week at Vegas, and we are looking at having a first-time winner regardless.
Well, you mentioned a lot of these food-related items. Think you need to grab yourself maybe a sandwich after this race is done, because I know you're hungry, but a lot of these guys fighting for the race win are hungry for the race win. Coming to just 2 laps to go here from Auto Club, just 4 miles left for all of these guys to go through. And a lot of this is going to come down to who has the last final push. And these two up front have been racing clean and been a phenomenal drive all race. Coming off of turn number 2, Jake Ennis going to try and make something work within just the final 6 corners left to navigate here in California. Christian Leonard made a great move to pass the longtime leader of the 25, and he's been out front right now for the past few laps. These top three still under a blanket, as Christian Leonard is going to come out of turn number 4 to take the Maconi Entertainment white flag. 1 lap to go from Auto Club in Fontana, California. It's going to be Christian Leonard, Jake Innes, and Justin Knoll fighting for the race win. These 3 have been the class of the field. Absolutely racing with pure clean respect and the utmost of respect among all these drivers out front right now. But I think coming into turn 3 for the final time, I think it might be Christian Leonard's race to have come through the field just a couple times. And we thought the 25 was going to go on a cruise and he's going to come up with the win. But no, it's going to be Christian Leonard coming out of turn number 4 with an absolutely stunning race win. Not necessarily a walk-off, but he really stole it from the hands of Jake Innes there in the end.
What a performance by Jake Innes and Christian Leonard. Like you mentioned, we thought it was Jake Innes' night. To see these two celebrating side by side, that is a true respect move right there down the backstretch. I mean, these two put on an absolute classic show. And to now see Justin Knoll and actually Stephen Hawthorne, these two drivers put on a little parade for their good old bud Christian Leonard. Definitely a good night. He wanted started in third, had mostly a quiet night. Was a little involved in that lap 10 incident, way back when we started here, but other than that, hasn't had too many incident points or ran a pretty clean race for him.
The 19 of Christian Leonard is going to burn it down once he gets to the front stretch. Absolutely phenomenal race from him. He showed this field that he is hungry to win the championship. A lot of good points for him to come from here tonight in Auto Club. And he's going to get ready to absolutely burn it down. Destroy those rear tires, Christian Leonard. You've earned it.
As if he hasn't burned down the rear tires enough already.
Well, as he burns it down, we're going to take a quick break and look back at some of the people who make this possible. We'll catch you back after this commercial break. And we're going to go over the results and some final thoughts. Maybe talk to a few people. We'll be seeing you just after the break.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need, Maconi.
With the launch of Maconi Entertainment and Maconi Competizone alongside Maconi Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MaconiSetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at Maconi Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
And another barn burner from Auto Club. Tonight's race was spectacular. We saw everything. We saw a mix of yellows, saw a mix of tire saving and fuel saving there a little bit in the end. But Christian Leonard comes home with the race win to steal it from Jake Innes, who had been on cruise control for basically the entire race, followed by Justin Knoll in the 3rd position. just over a second behind. And then 7 Hawthorne, who looked to make a charge there at the end, kind of still stays a good points day, comes home in 4th. Sam Bolin, who made a good recovery drive to come all the way up from 2 laps down to 5th place, 7 seconds behind these guys. Really good race from him as well. That is followed by Kevin Aguilar, Mateo Juliano, Matt Haas, Christian Barker, and Tony Burt to round out the top 10. And then the bottom few drivers, you got Philippe in 11th. He is the last person on the lead lap. Then it's David De Silva, Dylan Benson, Colin Grace. And a lot of these guys just didn't make the end of the race for whatever reason. But we're going to see if we can get a chat with 3rd place, Justin Knoll. Justin, congratulations on 3rd place. We're going to see you finish home in 3rd, and a great points night for you. Looking to see if you could come home in victory lane. Was strong all race. Tell me how it went.
Went pretty good. Bit of a rough start. Getting caught up in that first wreck that really just... I thought I was done for the race there and forgot that we have one fast repair. And so I got back to my stall and was like, I'm still in this. Other than that, the car's a little difficult to handle early in the stage, but it comes out pretty nice middle of the stage towards the end.
The Xfinity car, one of my favorite cars on iRacing. Really a driver's car. You got to learn how to handle, and you got to learn how to save tires. And that's something we saw this race. You know, we've seen a lot of these races go green, and it come down to not only green flag pit stops, how well you can save tires. We were wondering up in the booth, you know, that end a little bit at the stage, we were wondering how good you guys were on fuel. Was it were you saving fuel there in the end?
Fuel wise, from that last pit stop, I believe lap 35-ish, we were good to the end. We could go as hard as we wanted.
So a good run in there in the end. You come home 3rd, which is great for your points as you're looking to go for the championship this season. Anything else you'd like to say to any people at home?
No, I just hope I'm still in the points lead after this one.
Well, going for the championship indeed. Good race for you. Going to end you up with a lot of points. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And as we get ready to talk to our longtime leader and 2nd place driver, Jake Innes, he's going to be down there in pit road with you, Brayton.
Hey, Jake, you got your 3rd top 5 of the season in 3 races. You're a little bit behind in the points, but you were on cruise control almost all night, led about 69% of the race. Nice. Do you want to go ahead and talk us through his last final laps? You kind of fell off there a little bit, but talk us through why it fell off. Were you saving tires? Were you saving fuel? Just didn't have anything for the leader, or what happened there?
Yeah, that final stint, I was out in clean air, and then the 19 of Christian Leonard was just hauling the mail coming towards me, and then me and him were dueling it out. I bet you guys had a fun time watching. But you know, we used up our stuff pretty badly, and I was just trying to run the top, trying to save a little bit of tire, and then I was trying not to pass him after that point, because 1, we were ruining our tires earlier, and 2, Justin was catching us, so I didn't want us to battle, and then he scooched right around us, so I was trying to save it for the end. But then all of a sudden that 19th car found something, and I was just not able to catch him there. But overall, it was a great race. Nice to get pole. Nice to see the lap sled percentage, and can't wait for the next one.
You came into this race 9th in points. You should be about 6th or 7th on now. You missed Rockingham, I do believe. So
Yes.
are you going to try and make a mid-season points run here? It's so close to that top 5. You were so close to your first win tonight, but you've been very competitive, as it seems, in the races that you've ran. So you're looking to go for a championship here in 26 weeks?
I'm hoping to. You know, life sometimes screws things up, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to do all the races, but it's nice to be in here. Can't wait to see how the rest of the season plays out, and if I have the time to go for a championship, why the heck not?
Awesome. Congrats on the run. Anybody you want to thank?
I'd like to thank Red Biz Podcast for being on the car, as always, And I'd like to thank Matt Haas, TKC, for running this, all the drivers for having a clean race for the most part, and of course you guys in the booth for spending your time out putting on this broadcast.
Awesome. Thank you, Jake Ennis. Your second place finisher tonight led 69% of the race. Hoping for a victory lane next week.
Well, we're going to see if we can get an interview with our winner. Christian Leonard, you come home in the first spot. Really kind of stole the way there from Jake Ennis in the end. Tell us how it went.
Went pretty good for me, I suppose, if I won. But it was a pretty good race overall. Really had fun racing with him there. He kind of had me at the start of every run, but I felt like I could kind of make up time on him towards the end, especially because he was kind of locked on the outside for most of the run on both ends, and I was able to figure out a little something towards the end of the race in both 3 and 4, and then at the end 1 and 2. Got in the wall a time or two, but didn't really do much damage to it. But yeah, really fun racing him. We race a lot and other places as well, and so it's nice to get to battle for another win with him.
Yeah, you guys were looking super strong all race, and I'm getting a message from my producer to ask me what cover seal is. So, you know, your sponsor on your car, getcoverseal.com. Could you maybe explain to the people at home what that is?
I have no idea what that is. I just saw the paint scheme and thought it looked cool.
Well, you know, we've all done that before. I've had paints where I have no idea what's on the car, but hey, if it looks cool, I mean, I'll run it. So, you know, you came home with the win, stole it away from Jake Ennis in the grass there in the end. You know, looked really, really fast on, you know, all those runs at the very end. And overall, a good race from you here from Auto Club. Anyone else you'd like to thank?
I'd like to thank Seven Hawthorne for helping me practice sometimes. It's nice racing with him. And I'd like to thank you guys for putting this race on as well. TKC, Maconi Setup Shop. It was really fun.
Well, thank you so much. Congratulations on the win, and thank you so much for your time.
All right, thank you.
And that was your winner, Christian Leonard. And as we get ready to sign off, we're going to mention what is going on next week. Week 5 in North Wilkesboro. Make sure to check it out. Recently just added to the NASCAR Cup Series schedule once again as the All-Star race. And it's coming back this coming season in 2024. The Save the Speedway project was in a project trying to bring back this track to IRL racing, and it has done that. And we're going to be racing here next week for week 5, so completely different than what we saw here in Auto Club. But once again, we're going to see some fantastic racing next week. Be sure to not count out, and to be sure to tune in not to miss out what it's going to be. 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time next week. Be sure to tune in and make sure that you don't miss it. And we saw some great racing here tonight. Brighton, any last thoughts?
I mean, that was a fantastic show here from the virtual Fontana. It's a shame to see this thing go in real life, but drivers put on an absolute barn burner, and we enjoyed it here from the booth, and we hope everyone at home enjoyed it as well. But I just talked about North Wilkesboro, 14 degrees, 5/8 mile of action-packed racing. I'm sure everyone sees some sendings of it, some wheelbarrows and whatnot needed. So tons of action-packed racing coming next week from both tonight and North Wilkesboro.
Action-packed race tonight. And as we get ready to sign off, we're going to take a moment to thank the people who really put this on. Can't wait to thank the league itself, the Touring Kart Championship League, able to bring on this great racing here all the time and every week. We appreciate these guys for tuning in and showing up every week to put on barn burner races like we saw tonight. And who else but to thank the Maconi Entertainment, the people who bring this broadcast to you and how you're watching this race right now. Be sure to tune in on all the social medias before you leave. That way you'll know when you can tune in for the next race to make sure you don't miss a thing. And who else to thank but Maconi Setup Shop, the official setup shop of eNASCAR. If you want to get better on the racetrack, why not stop by MaconiSetupShop.com to get all of your setup needs for all your open races and even get some driver coaching to get ready for those fixed races. But as we get ready to sign off, it's been a great race. Thank you once again to the race sponsor, Maconi Setup Shop, as well as our broadcast partner, the Touring Kart Championship. Calling the action tonight was myself, Alexander Valderas, alongside Brighton Laster in the booth with DJ Lyon producing. Thanks to all of our viewers for watching tonight's racing action, and we hope you stay tuned into all of our social media pages for our next race. Thanks to the entire staff for their work in bringing this racing to you. This has been a production of Maconi Entertainment, and we'll see you at the next Checkered Flag.